Hi and welcome to Invincible 50s. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you cried? Would you admit to it if you did? Would doing so make you less of a man? It turns out that big boys do actually cry, even the really tough ones. Let me give you an example. Now, Clint Eastwood was one of my childhood heroes growing up. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly was one of my first experiences of him on the silver screen. And he was the man with no name. And I learned very quickly you should never, ever laugh at his mule if you wanted to live. And then there was Every Which Way But Loose, in which Clint played a bare-knuckle boxer whose best mate was an orangutan called Clyde. Clint was, and still is, what my granddad would call a man's man. You just wouldn't mess with Clint. He's as tough as nails. Away from the set, Clint's known as a no-nonsense type of guy, and his previous jobs included lumberjack, forest firefighting, and also steel cutting. And yet, even Clint Eastwood cries. Check out this short video from 2012.
I haven't cried that hard since I found out that there's 23 million unemployed people in this country. And now that is something to cry for.
Now here, Clint is emotional because he's talking about a subject that's very close to his heart, and he's not afraid to let the entire country see it. He's not ashamed of crying, and neither should you be if you cry. You see, mental toughness is about being able and willing to access a full range of emotions, not just 2 or 3. The old adage of big boys don't cry is utter bollocks. And bottling up your emotions can be really harmful to your mental health. Now, given that this is the Invincible 50s channel and it's dedicated to building both mental and physical toughness, does this strike you as a bit of a taboo subject? Does admitting that you cried make you a wuss? I'm going to put this out there. I cried 2 weeks ago, and it was the first time for about 2 years. I'll tell you why a little bit later on. The reason I want to talk about this taboo subject is that I know people who are struggling at this moment in time. They seem held together and tough on the surface, but deep down they're facing hardships and struggles that they're hiding from the world. They're bottling it up, just like blokes are taught to, and this stuff doesn't go away. It's like shaking a champagne bottle. That stuff has to explode at some point, and woe betide anyone who's going to get in the way of that. Now, I'm British, and we are taught stiff upper lip from early boyhood. You know, boys don't cry. But I want to tell you that there's no shame in crying. In fact, it's good for you to release your pent-up emotions from time to time. It can also serve as a moment of clarity when you realise that you need to instigate change or direction in your life. There's that incredibly powerful moment at the end when you finish crying, when you pull yourself together and you say, right, and you're energized into something that's going to help you avoid that pain again. That momentum is when you can really push yourself forward in new directions to avoid that pain again, because human beings run away from pain much faster than we run towards success. Strange, huh? So if you're at that moment, be sure to set your energy in a positive direction and let it drive you forward. This last year of COVID has been tough on all of us, and I know people close to me who've lost their jobs, they've lost their connections with their families, they've had to make employees redundant, they're struggling with anxious children on Zoom, or they've lost businesses and also income. Dealing with these issues takes mental toughness and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones, because this new normal needs different behaviours and actions to the ones that we might have been using 2 years ago when life was really normal. One thing I want to really touch upon today is how social media is affecting many people with too much time on their hands. You see, social media is designed to suck you in. This is why you get notifications and likes every time you get a message or a like. And many people, they put their best foot forward on Facebook or Instagram. Now, if you look at a lot of the pictures, they sing out, "Hey, look at me, my life is awesome." And it's mostly all bollocks. What you're often seeing here is a moment in time when life feels good for them. If it hasn't been staged, because you know a lot of people stage their photos on Facebook and Instagram, right? This is why I protect my kids from social media, because it's rife with fragile B or C list celebrities pouting or photographing themselves next to their new Lamborghini or their exotic hotel location. And then 3 news articles later, you find another article about how a B or C list celebrity has tried to end it all or succeeded in ending it all. And this is because everyone is struggling. And I want to touch on this today because no one seems to be talking about it. I want to give you an example, and I want to give you an example of me because I want to be transparent with you. Because on the surface, I look like I've got the perfect life. I'm extremely fortunate. I have to admit, I'm very, very fortunate. I've got an incredible relationship with my wife that's built over hard work. As she says, it's a bit like a piece of art. You know, you have to put effort and love into do it over a period of time to get the best out. I've got 2 amazing children. I've got a nice roof over my head, and I don't have to worry about the bills. And I've got enough gadgets to keep me occupied, so I should be okay, yeah? So what the hell am I struggling with? Let me explain a little bit more. Well, last year, my leadership training business was decimated by COVID. My role is to go into big organizations and train their leaders on, you know, negotiation, delegation, inspiration and motivation, etc. And the big thing there is going into organizations. And I can't do that anymore. They won't let me. They won't let me through the doors. What they've done is they've taken my 8-hour sessions and they've condensed them into 2 hours. So that's, 80% of the work has just dropped off. That's one thing I've been dealing with. My eldest son is struggling with anxiety. Both my sons have been Zoom schooling, which I've been monitoring for 18 months, which means they're really burned out from it. And frankly, so am I. Learning algebra over Zoom is even less fun than it is in the classroom with your mates. My wife has also one of the most stressful jobs in Hong Kong, so when she comes home from work at night, my role is to make sure she's got a nice, calm environment that she can de-stress as well and have a nice glass of wine. I'm also trying to write my master's dissertation at the same time as all this, as well as running my business and building another. So there's quite a lot going on. Now, this on its own could be enough, but I've also had a double whammy over the last couple of years. You see, over the last 2 years, all my closest mates left Hong Kong. And for an extrovert like me, that's a really big deal. Losing my closest pals was really tough. As an expat, we tend to live in our friends' pockets and we develop very close bonds and friendships simply because we don't have family around. Now, can you imagine if all your closest pals left the country almost overnight? How tough would that be for you? So about 2 weeks ago, I met another person that this had also happened to, and she began to get very emotional and start to cry as she told me how lonely she felt. Now, because my personality style has high empathy levels, I automatically responded with tears of my own. I'm not ashamed to tell you, I cried. Here's where the mental toughness part kicks back in. What I did was I reflected and I realized that over the course of 2 years, I've got stronger as a result of losing all my friends. I used to be an off-the-chart extrovert. My birthday parties usually had 40 people or more. Last year was 4. But now I've learned how to be on my own more because I've had to be. I would never have learned to do this without that experience that I'd had previously, no matter how crappy it felt at the time. Now, I'm not saying that I'm an introvert now, or I ever will be. I still want to go into a packed pub and have random conversations with random people, and I'm sure that you do too. But I can wait. 20 years ago, I'd have gone mad if you told me I couldn't go out on a Friday night. Now it's just normal. But I actually got to this place before any lockdowns. I actually felt more comfortable about it before the lockdowns began because of the experience that I'd had. So, look, I want to let you know that there's no shame in crying. It's good to release emotions. But try and use any release in a positive way. Whatever you can do to drive yourself forward in these times is a good thing. And if you find yourself continually wanting to cry, then you should share this with someone. Speak to a friend, speak to a trusted family member. You'll find people you wouldn't have dreamed of that would listen to you and offer you a strong shoulder when you need that support. And if you can be that person for other people, then all credit to you. You're a fantastic human being. Thank you. Just remember, don't take the weight of the world on your shoulders. You need to speak up and download to preserve your own mental strength at the same time. If you find yourself struggling, please don't struggle alone. Please speak up. Speaking up is a first stage in helping you get from where you are now to where you need to be in the future. If you find yourself having darker thoughts, then please seek professional help as soon as possible. Let someone else know. If you don't know where to find these people from, just let someone else close to you know that you're having this, that you're experiencing this, and get them to help you find professional advice, because this could reflect, on your family and your friends. The downward spiral that you can take can be quite deep, and it's difficult to get out of. Not impossible, but it's difficult to get out of. So catch it early if you can. I also want to tell you that it's okay not to be okay, as long as it's in short doses and you're trying to do something about it. As I said, just don't struggle in silence. And please remember that big boys do cry sometimes, even Clint Eastwood. I hope you found this video useful. I'm going to make more for you to help you keep mentally tough. Whatever you're doing out there, stay fit, keep strong, be invincible. See you next time.